And then the NFL draft kicked off. Obviously, we know we had pick 2. There was all the hype and buzz. We had a report from inside the stadium on Thursday night that Journey was even hyping up the crowd at the concert up in Cleveland, saying, "Hey, who's ready for Travis Hunter?" Got everybody excited for, the two-way star out of Colorado. And the Browns trade the pick. So the Browns traded pick 2 and pick 104 in the 4th round to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who selected Travis Hunter at the number 2 spot. In return, Cleveland got pick number 5, pick number 36, so another early 2nd round pick 126, so they moved back a little bit in the 4th round. But they also got the Jaguars' 1st round pick next year in 2026. And with that 5th pick in the 1st round, the Cleveland Browns selected Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of Michigan. So I'm just going to kind of go through each guy's profile, kind of the same way I did with the mock drafts. And we'll just kind of go from there. Again, tune in later this week for a much more opinionated show and conversation and dialogue between all 3 of us, me, Blake, and Justin. But Mason Graham, 6'3", 296, 21 years old. He's a former wrestler in high school. He actually claimed 2 heavyweight titles while he was in high school. He was the number 1 defensive tackle in terms of production score in NFL Draft Profile. His college career, 2022, he played in all 14 games at Michigan as a reserve. He had 27 tackles, 2.5 sacks, and a pass breakup. 2023, he was a first-team All-Big Ten Conference Rose Bowl defensive MVP. He had 4 tackles and a TFL in that game. He started 13 games for the national champion Michigan Wolverines. You guys know me as a Buckeye fan. It is paining me to say these things, but as soon as you become a Cleveland Brown, all that college stuff gets wiped away, and you are now supported. And we're really excited to have Mason Graham. But anyway, so where was I? Started 13 games for the Champs, 36 tackles in 2023, 36 tackles, 7.5 tackle for loss with 3 sacks, a pass breakup, and a forced fumble. And then this past season, in 2024, he was first team Associated Press All-American, first team All-Big Ten. He was a finalist for the Bednarik Award, which is for the nation's top defender. He was a finalist for the Outland Trophy, which is the nation's top lineman, and that's both offensive and defensive lineman. So he was a finalist for that award too. He started 12 games. He had 45 tackles, 7 TFLs, 3.5 sacks, and a pass breakup. Now, I wanted to pull a little bit more information about Graham because he was our 1st round pick. He was a top 5 pick, and he was a top 5 prospect by pretty much every draft board you could look at this offseason. He was never a guy that we focused on this podcast. I never mocked him, never did a deep dive into him because we couldn't fathom the Browns going defense with pick 2 unless it was Abdul Carter was the only guy. But, early in the process, Blake was the one saying, hey, if they have to take a defensive player, if that's what they're set on, don't take Carter, take Mason Graham. He's the one who will help Myles Garrett and the defensive line much more than Abdul Carter with his presence in the interior of that defensive line. And lo and behold, Mr. Blake Reniker gets something right yet again. And then we got to hear about it forever, guys. So just bear with us. No, I'm just messing with Blake. So anyway, I just want to I got to give the guys flowers. He did call this out pretty early on. But anyway, from Draft Buzz, Mason Graham fits the bill of an immediate impact starter who can anchor a defensive front while providing scheme versatility across multiple techniques. His combination of explosive power and technical refinement makes him an ideal fit for teams employing both one-gap and two-gap principles. What separates Graham from other defensive tackle prospects is his ability to dominate in multiple phases. He is equally adept at eating double teams in the run game as he is collapsing the pocket on passing downs. So we get a 3-down interior defensive tackle that we have been needing for years. The film shows a defender who brings more than just raw power to the table. Graham's wrestling background manifests in his sophisticated understanding of leverage and balance, allowing him to win battles that many similarly sized defenders would lose. His ability to maintain gap integrity while still generating penetration makes him a defensive coordinator's dream. While he may need some refinement in his pass rush technique, his natural gifts and work ethic suggest significant upside in this area. Pass rushing. Browns got a freaking football player here. And, I think before I dive even further into Mason Graham or any of these other prospects, what did I say the whole way leading up to the draft and this entire process, what did I want more than anything? Like, yes, these guys with massive production. Yes, these guys with great athletic scores and all that stuff. That's wonderful. What did I want? Number one, get football players. Get guys who love the freaking game of football, live, breathe, eat, everything, bleed football. I want football players. Guys are going to come in, work their asses off to be even better football players. Mason Graham is just that. All right, moving on here. Graham profiles as a cornerstone defensive piece who can anchor a front seven for the next decade. His floor is remarkably high given his proven ability to dominate against elite competition, while his ceiling suggests all-pro potential if he can diversify his pass rush arsenal. Expect Graham to hear his name called within the first 10 picks of the draft, which it was. His combination of production, physical tools, and technical proficiency make him one of the safest prospects in this class. And he's not just a safe prospect, he is also a blue chip, like they said, cornerstone defensive piece potentially for the next decade. Very excited to get Mason Graham on this team. I think it's going to be fun. We jest with Michigan and all that kind of stuff because we're Ohio State fans, but sports is so cool because you look at the Cleveland Browns, and their first pick in the draft last year was a defensive tackle from Ohio State in Mike Hall Jr. This year, their first pick in the draft is a defensive tackle from Michigan. So now you get two just absolute rivals, two players at the same position from rival programs that are going to be lining up on the same defensive line right next to each other as professionals. So that will be cool to see Mike Hall and Mason Graham together in Cleveland.